Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today. We'll get started in just a couple minutes here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We know you're super busy, so we just really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Okay, so a couple of things before we get started. There are actually two chat capabilities. There's questions and then there's chat. And this screenshot down here kind of shows the difference. So we have questions on the left and chat on the right-hand side. It's a lot easier for us on our end to collect the questions as they come in if you add those specifically to questions, so we can make sure those get covered in the Q&A at the end. And then for now in the chat, if people want to, I know everybody's been saying hello and happy almost Friday to everyone as well. If you want to just let us know where you're joining from, we'll just kind of take a minute to see where everybody is coming from. All right, we've got California, Bermuda, Wilmington, North Carolina, York, Pennsylvania, more California, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Washington. Wow, this is quick. Denver. Oh, I'm in Denver too. We should come visit you. Florida, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, California, Illinois, Las Vegas, Alberta, Canada. No, Edmonton. Yes. Ontario, more Alberta. Okay, so we've got folks from all over. Pennsylvania. Ridgeway, Colorado. Okay, also beautiful, especially beautiful in the fall. Los Angeles. All right, one more. Appleton, Wisconsin. Okay, Massachusetts, Sonoma, California. All right, fantastic. Well, thanks everybody. Texas. I don't think we saw Texas yet. More Texas. Utah, Tucson, Arizona, Florida. All right, well, we have folks from all over the place. So again, welcome and thank you for joining. So just some introductions for today. I'm Natasha Reed. It's so nice to meet everybody. I recently joined UpKeep as product marketing. Today, we're going to be joined by, we have Maria from our marketing team who will be helping kind of coordinate everything in the background logistically, and then she'll be helping facilitate Q&A at the end as well. And then we're joined by almost our entire product team. So I'm going to focus on features and benefits for the first part of the webinar. And then we have Mark, Nate, Alina, Daniel, and Spencer from our product team who will be following up with some live demo. Couple of other things before we get started. Just wanted to let everybody know we have our Maintenance Community Coalition State of the Community report coming out soon here. So basically our team has been going out, speaking to folks in industry, hearing about things like how's hiring going for you, what's impacting you and your teams at the moment, how do you feel about AI and its impact on our industry, things like that. So just a lot of really great insights gathered holistically across many different people and companies. So look for that to be published in the next couple of months here. We will also be at the Reliable Plant Conference in Orlando towards the end of the month, early August. So if you're in the area or you'll be attending that conference, please definitely stop by and say hello. And we also just wanted to re-mention to everybody that earlier this year, we launched our 24/7 live phone and chat support, and that is available to all customers. Okay, so our summer release. From a theme perspective, we're going to see a little bit more around just centralizing your maintenance and data operations data, and that's going to be coming via our newest offering, DataHub's latest feature. We're also going to see some ways that we're just making parts transfers a little bit easier, both from the user experience as well as more transparency around communications. And then lastly, we have quite a few enhancements for our administrative and our power users. So I did want to mention to everybody, in case you hadn't heard, we launched a new product earlier this year called DataHub. So DataHub really helps automate bringing your data from sensors and PLCs into UpKeep. So if you have technicians walking around with something like a clipboard and they're kind of manually recording data, maybe they're even doing that on their mobile device, DataHub just makes that a lot easier, which also helps promote more of a usage-based maintenance approach instead of maybe calendar-based. And if you have additional questions around that, or if you'd like to learn more, you can go to our website under the product section and go ahead and just submit a demo request for DataHub specifically. We're going to be covering 7 new features and enhancements today. And I also just wanted to mention different ways that you can communicate with our product team. So we've run a couple of times now in advance of the quarterly product release a beta feedback period. So communications come out by way of either your CSM, we share notifications on LinkedIn, we do direct email to customers around this, and then probably the easiest way is we promote this ability in-app directly. So when you log into our product, there's a little notification that pops up a couple of weeks before the release, and you can just directly communicate with us to participate in beta to provide feedback. We also have basically an always available feedback forum within both our mobile and web apps. So people can just immediately provide information or feedback that goes directly to the product team. And then lastly, we run in-app surveys on kind of an as needed or as research directed basis. Okay, so our first feature that we're going to cover today is Edge as a destination for DataHub. So this is going to allow our DataHub users to automatically send data from their PLCs and sensors to Edge, which really just helps with visualizing data and identifying trends. So presently, this supports UpKeep sensors, so the sensors that we sell, as well as Allen Bradley PLCs, Siemens PLCs, and we can also support the IO Link protocol for data transfer. This data updates every minute, and it's available for all DataHub subscribers. From a use case or an application perspective, this is really helpful if you have a technician that's kind of like manually taking sensor readings, like I mentioned before, somebody walking around with a clipboard. And it's also incredibly helpful if you need to provide audit logs to just make sure that you're automatically capturing the data that you need. So for benefits, again, just automating the sensor data. I think we're all kind of pretty familiar, the harder something is to do or the more manual a process is, the less likely it is to actually get done. So automating the data is just a huge benefit to make sure that the data actually does get captured. This also has the peripheral benefit of making sure the data is accurate because it's being automatically captured. And ultimately, just being able to visualize the data and historical trends over time is really helpful to look for anomalies. Okay, our second feature that we're going to cover today is we now have the ability to upload task images in offline mode for mobile. So pretty straightforward feature here. If you have limited connectivity or no internet connectivity, your technicians can still upload images on the mobile device. Those will automatically sync once you're back online, and this does support unlimited images. So just a couple of details here around which editions this feature is available for. It is not available for starter. For professional edition, this supports up to 5 offline automatically cached work orders. And then for professional and business plus, it supports unlimited manually bookmarked work orders. And then finally for business plus, this supports unlimited automatically cached work orders as well. So from a use case perspective, again, just, sometimes you have locations that either have no connection, or maybe you just have kind of like a dead zone in the corner of your main facility or something to that effect. We see this quite a bit with our customers in the manufacturing, public works, government, energy, and oil and gas spaces. And then from a benefits perspective, we really just want to help people complete their work in real time. So again, kind of that theme of, the harder something is to do or the more manual something is to do, the less likely it is to get done. So we just want to kind of make this as easy as possible, do it automatically. By automatically caching as well as reconnecting, our goal is to really just improve the accuracy and completeness of your records and continue to build out that knowledge base that you're using to, either train new technicians or kind of hand down, institutional knowledge from team member to team member. And lastly, we hope this kind of improves morale a little bit and makes everybody's life a little bit easier. All right, our next feature is we have an updated ledger view, as well as we've introduced the ability to transfer parts across different inventory lines. So we are now going to show a chronological history of the transactions for parts in inventory. So every time parts in inventory changes quantities or moves different locations, we'll capture that in a pretty nice, easy to read audit log. And we're also going to allow for the ability for those parts to be transferred from one line to another. Okay, availability. So the updated ledger view is available for all editions, but then the parts transfer ability is only available in Professional and then Business Plus. So this is really helpful when you either have multiple locations with the same part and you need to transfer parts across those different locations, or maybe you have a single location with multiple kind of sub-locations like a bin or something like that. For benefits, really, first and foremost, just accurate data, right? You want to be able to move your parts around and be confident that this information is being captured accurately. So I believe the prior experience was maybe just less than ideal. So we really just wanted to make this simpler, easier, and make sure that everybody can have confidence that as parts are being moved around, that information is transparent and being captured accurately and available from an audit perspective. Again, just kind of our goal is to help reduce confusion and just make the process and experience a lot cleaner so that ultimately everybody can maintain your required levels of inventory and be confident that the data is accurate. All right, a little bit of a corollary here. So we've also added the ability to receive an email notification when the parts get low or when they drop below the minimum quantity threshold. So we now have a configurable ability, and also worth noting, this is something you need to turn on in the application, so it is not turned on by default. But let's say you have a minimum quantity of 5. The first time that quantity drops below to 4, you'll receive an email notification alerting you to that. And then also subsequently, if it continues to drop, so if it goes down to 3, you would receive another email notification in that case. This is available for all of our users. really just helps you manage inventory and parts and be a little more proactive around managing your quantities. From a benefits perspective, just really want to let you know like when your parts and quantities are dropping or getting to their minimum threshold, so you can more proactively order in advance. Also just really help, like many of you have many thousands, if not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of parts. So obviously just managing all of that inventory can get pretty tedious and time consuming. So just really trying to help be proactive to stay on top of that. We've also introduced more granularity around email notifications in general. So as mentioned in the prior slide, that is a configuration that needs to be turned on. And you can see over here, these are some of the different configurations that have recently been introduced, and you can toggle them on and off as desired. So we've added specific configurations around work orders, requests, purchase orders, summaries, and then reports. And it's also worth noting that these capabilities do abide by location-based permissions. These are also available for all customers and all editions. Our goal is really to just reduce email volume and noise. We've had a lot of customer feedback around this one, so hopefully this is a really exciting one so that folks can just be more specific about which emails your teams are receiving and be more focused, so that people can really pay attention to what matters and not just kind of get over inundated with lots of email volume. All right, for our administrators out there, maybe our power users as well, or maintenance folks and maintenance managers, I think a lot of us wear a lot of different hats. So we've also made some changes and improvements to our import and export data process. So there is a new upload wizard. We kind of did a V1 of this recently as well. So this is the same wizard that we had introduced to uploading other data types previously. So just nice, consistent look and feel. This offers the ability to upload additional file types. You can also do like inline editing, so you can add data directly into the wizard. It has lots of nice error handling and checking. So even if one data point fails or does not meet certain data validation, we'll continue to upload the rest of that data. Conversely, if we download data and one point fails, we'll still complete that download just with the exception of the failed data point. So just much more robust data uploading and error handling. This is also available for all users and all editions. In particular, this covers or is supported for checklists, customers, teams, vendors, people, and then meters. It is especially helpful if you're doing a new system implementation or if you're doing ongoing bulk data updates. And from a benefits perspective, just both increased speed as well as in the application itself, as well as just being able to complete data uploads more quickly because it's just more robust and it's allowing greater reliability. Okay. And then lastly, we have our purchase order changes. So we've done some modernization around the user interface and the user experience. So we've added a couple of data points, the part number and then the PO fulfillment date to the PO details page. You can now create a part directly from the PO details page, and you can also multi-select parts and add them directly to a purchase order. This is only available in Business Plus. Pretty straightforward. We just wanted to kind of add some additional capabilities for purchase orders. And then for benefits, this should have increased speed in the application. It's a consistent look and feel within UpKeep and the rest of the application to help promote adoption. And overall, we just wanted to make it easier to manage your purchase orders. Okay, so that wraps up the 7 features that we're covering today. I'm going to do a little bit of a look ahead to kind of give you a sneak peek at what's coming in our fall release, and then we'll have the product team do some live demos. So for DataHub, we're going to have automated downtime tracking coming. We'll also be adding some capabilities around asset schedules. So today, we basically assume assets run on a 24-hour schedule. So we'll introduce some configuration. Let's say you run 2 8-hour shifts or 3 8-hour shifts or something to that effect. We're also going to be doing some work around work orders. So this is more of a modernization effort. You should see improved performance. We will do an extended beta period for this, and it's worth mentioning that there won't really be any specific feature changes. It's really more about just kind of modernizing the user experience and look and feel and performance. We're also working on conditional logic for our checklists. We're doing some mobile photo enhancements. So that will include the ability to upload multiple photos simultaneously. It'll also support unlimited photos. And we're doing some work around the user experience there as well to, again, just make it a little more user-friendly and intuitive. The last feature we wanted to mention, this will not be available in the fall release, but the beta will be available in early November. So if folks want to keep an eye out for, we'll be adding custom work order statuses, or we're working on adding custom work order statuses. So if you'd like to participate in that beta and provide feedback, definitely just keep an eye out in the app for that notification. And then the last note is everything that you're about to see will be live in production next Wednesday, July 19th. Okay, and Mark McKelvey is going to kick us off with demos.
Awesome, thanks, Natasha. Again, my name is Mark McKelvey. I'm a product manager here at UpKeep, and I oversee our efforts around DataHub, Edge, and our API. Today, I'm going to be demoing Edge as a destination. And just a reminder, this feature is going to let us send data from PLCs and sensors to Edge so that we can visualize that data and identify trends. For the demo today, we're going to be connecting a PLC that tracks temperature and pressure data to DataHub. We're going to be organizing that PLC data with a model. We're going to be verifying that we have access to UpKeep Edge. And then finally, we're going to send that data to Edge by creating a sync. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. Okay, so I'm going to start in DataHub on our Sources tab. And just a reminder, a source is how we connect PLCs and sensors to DataHub. What we do is we use some specialized hardware behind the scenes to connect to the PLCs. And then we come to this Sources tab and we specify what DataHub should expect from our data. In this case, our PLC is controlling a natural gas tank. And again, we are tracking temperature and pressure. So once our source is all set, we're going to head over to our Models tab. And again, our models are how we kind of bring our source data together and transform it if necessary. In this case, our data is in the format that we already expect. So we don't need to apply a transformation, but it's there if we needed it. So we're going to take this data, and this is what we're going to sync into Edge. So to make sure that we have Edge, we're going to come over to our Destinations tab, and that's where we can see where we can send all of our data. You can see that we have our original meters destination, and then we have the destination that we're focused on today, which is UpKeep Edge. The good news is we're active, we're ready to go, so we're ready to set up a sync. So let's do that. I'm going to come over, I'm going to create a sync, and I'm going to call it my Edge sync. And I'm going to grab that natural gas tank model that I was just showing you. And for the destination type, I'm going to go ahead and select Edge. Now, what DataHub is going to do when I select Edge is that it's going to create a record within Edge with our temperature and pressure properties. So if I pop over to my Edge account, I can see that I have my set of sensors here, but I don't yet have my natural gas tank model. So let's go ahead and change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. And that's going to create my sink, and so I'm ready to go. Pop back over to my Edge page, and I can see that the natural gas tank model gets populated automatically. So the final thing that I want to do here is I want to send some readings to DataHub, which will then sync everything over to Edge. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my PLC. I'm going to generate a reading, and that reading is going to show up in UpKeep Edge. I can see that I have pressure and temperature coming in. And now if as the readings continue to trickle in, that data will update within Edge automatically. If I pop into this particular sensor, I can see that the data is showing up in this chart here so that I can identify trends and potentially track anomalies. And again, this data will also update as it trickles in. So when it comes in, new data will go through from the PLC to DataHub, and then it'll come in to my Edge instance. And again, that data will update as we receive it, and the page will refresh every 1 minute. So you can get a real-time, pretty close to real-time view of your data. So that's Edge as a destination. Again, it's an easy way to track your data and visualize trends. And that'll be available next week. So with that, I will pass things over to Mark Welsh.
Mark, are you there?
Yep, just pulling up the screen. Yeah, I'm Mark Welsh, product manager for the mobile app. I own anything that touches the mobile app at any time. Just want to shameless plug, let me know if you're ever interested in joining any future beta programs, or we do ongoing Zoom sessions where I go into a deep dive of the mobile roadmap, as well as discuss anything that's prevalent with what's going on for your workflow. Another thing, a little tip with our offline mode, if you're not completely offline, but just in a poor connection area, app may be slow, I recommend just going straight into airplane mode on your phone. It's actually going to be much faster and smoother on the app. And then during the demo, when I actually show you adding images to tasks while offline, when I go from online to offline to online, the audio freaks out. So I have to reset my audio settings. Sometimes I have to refresh my page. But I think a lot of us can relate to where connectivity issues lead in some moments where we have to maybe be a little bit more patient. But as I walk through the demo, again, I'm adding images to tasks while offline. Images will sync automatically once you go back online. You will be able to add as many images as you want to tasks. And then also, before you go offline, make sure you have work orders either manually bookmarked or they meet the auto cache criteria, which is that a work order is assigned to you. It's due within 48 hours, or it has an asset added to it that is a non-operational status. So without further ado, so I'm already offline. To access the work orders, you click auto cache work orders. A lot of our customers work in environments where they have to do maintenance on solar panels. And most of the time, solar panels are in these really offline environments. So it's relevant. So you go into the work order itself, go to the task. A big aspect of solar panel inspection is checking for corrosion. So you want to add the photos of corrosion. Best practices are always to add at least one photo that's close up to corrosion, and then one that's a little farther away for best context. I had that there, and then there were two. And then the big part is actually going back online to see if things sync. Brace yourself for audio. There we go. You can hear me? Yes?
We can hear you, yes.
There we go. Look at that. I went back online. My task updated. my images. And let's check, view photos, boom, boom, successful. The big value here is the reliable sync once you're back online. If you explore other options, you'll see sometimes other platforms that reliability is an issue. So that was a big aspect of the work we did here. So I'll pass it on to Nate.
Thank you, Mark. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to walk you all through the demo flow that will account for all of the adjustments for your transactions of inventory as well as the transfer. So we'll go through opening and transacting on a work order, through the purchase orders, and then transferring inventory and making manual adjustments to those records, as well as then reviewing all the adjustment history that had taken place. So I will start over in creating the work order, and I do have one available. So I just created this work order and I can come add parts to it. Now, you will see that I have quite a lot of parts, and I also have administrator access, so I can see and pick everything. I will also mention that I do have the inventory lines setting enabled. So this is going to show as what looks like duplicates, but they are all the individual inventory lines. And if I come and I'm going to add these pulleys to a work order, I'm going to select all of them just so we can see more of the transaction history in bulk there. So when I add these parts, they will populate, they all pull in a quantity of 1 at this point. Now I will also show, once I remove or downgrade the quantity to zeros, these will also transact now on the adjustments tab as well. So that's it for the work order. Now if I navigate over to the purchase order, and I'm going to create a new one for our webinar, and when I add these parts, the same concept will occur each time that these are fulfilled. So I'm going to come through, add these, and I'll just do a very simple 5. Now, again, because I am an administrator here, I will create this and then just immediately approve it and then go through the fulfillment of it. So when I fulfill, you can actually see each of these occurring with this fulfillment and who did it and at what time. And the interesting part is, if you are doing partial fulfillments, you can also track it at that point as well. So sometimes you want to track when the specific first quantity came in and you're able to fulfill it and have a little bit more auditability of that piece. So I can come in and do full fulfillments of these as well. So I fully fulfilled here. Now, if I navigate back to that specific part that I was working on, open it up, and then I will show you the transferring. And so this is a new function that we have only enabled for the inventory line setting, and it's only available to be done between an inventory line on the same part record. We're not going to allow you to move inventory of a different part to one another. So our use case here, as Natasha mentioned earlier, is really if you have separate geographical locations or potentially separate bins, aisles, shelves that you may store inventory as well within your stockroom or warehouse. So I can see here, I've got pretty low available quantity in Wyoming. So I'm going to transfer some from North Dakota. Say maybe there's a need there. So over in this right-hand menu here, we have this transfer option, and then I can select to my available other inventory lines, and I can send 4 over there. And you can see this has immediately updated. Now, just for moving over to the adjustments, since I'm transacting a lot of stuff very quickly, I'll do a quick refresh. And now I'm going to come over to our adjustments tab. So because this is inventory lines, obviously all of these adjustments are separated per inventory line, but you can see now all of these chronological ordered transactions that have occurred. Starting here, I added it to a work order, and then I actually removed that one from the work order. So you can see the exact date and time that I did that and the quantities. And then you can actually link over to those work orders. The same with the purchase orders, that this was fulfilled and then re-fulfilled again, right? Actually, the one piece that I missed was also the manual adjustment. So say if I come in here and I did a manual cycle count or a stock count, and I realized that we were short on what our inventory displayed, but we truly had a quantity of 16. So I can come in here, put a note, and that will also update if I come over to Ohio, and you'll be able to see that I have this manual stock count here. So just a comment on this, while the transfer is only available with the inventory lines, this new adjustment ledger is available on your current parts setting as well. So it will transact exactly the same other than the transfer. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer those. And I'm going to send it over to Alina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nate. Great. Hi there, everybody. My name is Alina, and I'm an associate product manager here at UpKeep, and my team has been working on revamping our current notification system. So today I will be showing you our new email notification configuration to help reduce your overall email volume, as well as how to enable notifications for those stock parts. So first, to access your new email notification controls, you'll head on over to your profile settings. And then from there, you'll now see notification settings here under the cookie settings. Once you're in, you'll be able to see that notifications are now grouped by general work orders, work order requests, purchase orders, parts and inventory, and summary and reports. And to enable or disable a notification, all you would do is toggle this on or off, and the configuration will automatically be saved. So I just toggle this off, and that will automatically save, and then you could toggle this back on. And now I want to highlight our newest email notification, a low stock part alert here. So once this toggle is on, any part that falls below the minimum quantity threshold will be alerted to you via email. So first step, as always, is to check and ensure that this toggle is on. And from there, I'll demonstrate to you how this triggers the email and what the email template looks like. So we'll head on over to our inventory section here. And let's say I have a couple of screws that I want to document here. And once we're here, we want to make sure that we input our available quantity as well as the minimum quantity threshold. So let's say I have 11 on hand for now, but I want to make sure that I'm always notified once it reaches below 10. I'll create that part. And then I'll create a test work order. And then I'll add my screws here. And let's say I used up 2. Once we head back over here, we can see that the status for the screw is now officially in low stock. And then if I head on over to my email, I'll be notified immediately that my screw is now low stock. This is the available quantity that I do have, and this is the minimum quantity. And that's it. I think, Daniel, you're up now.
Yep. All right. Hello, everybody. My team has recently been working on finishing improvements to importing and exporting. We've been kind of rolling out improvements over the past year and a half at this point, and this feature launch basically completes the new import-export experience with the new wizard for the rest of our platform, as Natasha went over. So I'm going to be showing you a demo today. I'm just going to use meters as an example, but the process is pretty similar across the board. Which you'll see. I'll kind of be demonstrating the use case of doing a bulk update, but of course, one of the other primary use cases would be importing new data as well. So we'll go ahead and jump over into the application. I'm on my meters page here. You can see I have a number of meters already set up. I'm going to go to this kebab menu and click this import meter button. This will take me to the master sort of import export page with meters pre-selected because that's where I was coming from. Of course, I can change this to select any of my other items as well. And then I can download a template if I'm starting from scratch or export my current meters. When you're doing bulk updating, I always recommend exporting from here if you're going to make some changes and then import back. So I'm going to go ahead and just download my current meters. Normally, you might open this up in Excel or Google Sheets and make changes or add more information before you upload it. But we're going to go ahead and just upload it as is. So I'm going to hit Start Meter Import Process, which will bring up the wizard. So to start with, we can upload a file. We can also go into our file browser or drag and drop. And you can manually enter data here as well if you have a use case where you just want to type some things in real fast, and that's faster for you. So we'll go ahead and just drag this over. The next step, it'll just ask you to confirm if there's a header row. It'll usually pre-select, the first row if it thinks there's a header, which there is. We'll confirm this, and then we go on to match columns. So the matching columns is basically, you can see all of the columns I had in my spreadsheet on the left here, and then on the right, matching to the columns that I want to upload to. It'll do a pretty good job of fuzzy matching if you have like capitalization or words slightly different, but I would always recommend checking these, especially if you're not doing a direct, download and re-import. But you can manually, of course, change these. You'll notice there's a few fields here that we include on export that you can't import. We don't let you change the created by date, for example. That's kind of just there for reference. I can also ignore columns, like if, let's say, I don't want to make any changes to locations that are linked and I just don't want to worry about messing that up. So I can just hit ignore and it won't map anything or import to that part of the data set. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm matching and continue. So now this is kind of one of the key steps where you review any errors or any problems. So obviously there's no errors right now because I just just exported this. But I want to show you a few kind of things that you can do in here. So all of this is inline editing. For example, if I wanted to add a new meter, I can also do that at this stage. I'll go ahead and put a new meter title in. You'll notice it immediately flags a couple error columns because these are required for new meters that you're importing. Basically, if you don't include a meter ID, it'll treat it as a new meter and create a new meter. So let me just fill these out. Another thing you'll notice here is there's another type of validation, which is validating the type of information. So for update frequency, this has to be an integer between 1 and 730, right? Like you have to have a number value for this field, or it'll error. So it lets you know and enforces that. One of the other kind of cool things is if you have 10,000 rows or something and you have a bunch of errors, you can filter it down to only show rows with errors. Or you can even go a step further and filter it down to just errors in a certain column. So that helps you quickly see what's going on if you're uploading a big data set or made a lot of changes. One of the other cool things you can do is you can actually from here just export rows with errors if you want to take just those rows, out and fix them or for reference. So I'll go ahead and leave this as is. One other thing I want to note before we move on, asset name. So this is basically linking these meters to an asset that exists. I actually went and deleted this asset just so I can show you some additional error handling that happens post upload. And so I just wanted to call that out before we move on. One thing that we don't validate in this wizard that it's important to call out are when you're referencing another object, we're not able to basically check if that object actually exists or not. We handle that on the back end, which I'll show you. So, there's no error here, even though this asset no longer exists in my system. So we're going to go ahead and hit finish, confirm that I want to submit. And it'll give me a loading screen and then upload. So you can see it says created 1, updated 4 meters, but not everything worked as expected. If I click on this, it'll give me really granular detail. So for those 2 rows, right, it says it can't find this asset name. So what this means is basically it didn't update the asset name because it couldn't find it. But the rest of those rows, if I would have made changes to them, will still update. So the entire row is successful with the exception of that one single cell. Because it couldn't find the linked object, it didn't update it. So it's pretty powerful in terms of, if you do have errors, it'll really only error out on the specific cells, and the rest of the row will get updated properly or created properly. You can also, of course, download the rows with errors from here, again, if you want to further make changes and re-upload on that side of things. Great. So that's everything on my end. I'm going to pass it over now to Spencer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Spencer. I'm a product manager here at UpKeep, responsible for assets, analytics, and sort of general UI and usability across the application. Today, I'm just going to walk through some updates to our purchase orders module. In general, this is more of a cosmetic update, with some small feature tweaks here and there, but it doesn't include a ton of new functionality, more just kind of changing the look and feel of these pages. Hopefully, this feels a little familiar to some of y'all. You might have seen pages like requests and parts and inventory, come into this new sort of pattern of design. So here we are on our purchase orders list, where I can do things like add filters and look for, maybe I only want to see my purchase orders that are awaiting approval. I can control my columns. So, maybe I don't care about some of these other things. I just kind of want to some of this stuff. I can change my sort order, etc. When here we've got our number of items, and I can even click this down to see actually which items are on this purchase order and how many of them there are. And ultimately, if I get to a point where I have a view that I'm happy with, maybe every morning when I come in, I want to come in and look at this awaiting approval view, I can save this view as needs approval. And then what will happen is, anytime you're sort of dropped on the purchase orders list without any filters applied, rather than applying those filters, you can come here and just click on that save view to be brought to that. In this case, it's only one filter, but if you're building something and you have 5 different filters, this could be a big time saver. Anyways, next up, to create a new purchase order, I'll just go up here, create a purchase order, and these fields and workflow should feel very familiar. Again, not a ton of changes here. I'm going to give this a title. I won't fill out all these fields, but hopefully, again, these are all fields you're comfortable with. Here, I'm going to add a part. I'm going to buy some stress balls because we all need more stress balls in our life. And then if you are trying to buy something that you actually don't have a part in the system for, you can also click here to create a new part. This is going to take you straight into the part creation page where you can add a name and a cost. Maybe these cost 45 cents. Create your part. And you'll be brought right back into your purchase order flow with that new part created along with the cost that you assigned to that part. Again, I'm going to add some quantities here. I'm going to add my tax, %. Right. And then kind of down the line, you can continue to edit all these things. I won't, but here I'll create my purchase order. All right, so now if I go back here into my save view, you can see this new purchase order I created has awaiting approval. So if I click in, Here we can see my purchase order details, costs, quantities, etc. Over here, I can see the status and some requester information, and I can go ahead and edit, decline, or approve. Or over here, generate a PDF or delete it. I'm going to go ahead and approve that purchase order, which will move it over into an approved status. From here, I can then fulfill the purchase order. So I'll take that action, and maybe I received a partial shipment of that, but I did receive the full shipment here. My status is going to move over to partially fulfilled. As Nate showed earlier, you can see sort of these individual fulfillment actions on the part records themselves in the new inventory ledger. But just kind of here, once I finish this up, so now I received the last two of my stress balls, I now see my fulfilled status, and I've got a fulfillment date, which of course is the same date as today since I just did this, but in general, it should be a different date. So that's kind of the workflow here. And just to kind of show one more thing, from the parts and inventory list, now we have the ability to multi-select any number of parts and then add those to a purchase order. So I might want to do something like, hey, I want to see all my low stock parts. I'm going to go ahead, select all three of these, create a purchase order, and now I'm dropped right into my purchase order flow with those parts selected, and kind of can carry on from there. And that is just about it for me. Please feel free to drop any questions over in the question section, and I'm happy to answer them. And I'm going to hand it back to Natasha.
Okay, perfect. Maria, do you want to go ahead and get us started with Q&A? And I've been keeping an eye on the chat, so there's a couple in there I want to make sure we hit as well, but you want to go ahead with what's been coming into the question section?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, hi, I'm Maria. I'm part of the marketing team. And for our first question, we have, for DataHub, will sensor readings need to be manually entered into UpKeep, or do they take a picture of a reading?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in on that one. The good news is that no, those readings do not have to be manually entered. That's one of the key value propositions of DataHub. We just pull that data automatically from your sensors, and then we can send that to meters and update those automatically, or we can send it to Edge where you can visualize those readings.
Awesome. And then would it be possible to trigger a purchase request when a part drops below the minimum?
Hi, Maria. Hopefully you can hear me. So not at this time. However, this is something we would consider adding to our automated workflow section in the future.
Awesome. And then will the email notification for low stock be bundled? So all low stock parts are on the same report, or will they notify separately?
That's a good question. So this will depend on whether the parts were used at the same time. Otherwise, it will notify separately, but you'll still get a list from the daily summary report.
Awesome. And how many digits are in the new purchase order field? The PO number that is generated by UpKeep is only 4 digits. Is there a way to make that 5 digits?
No. So the answer right now, and this is referring to the auto-generated number. Right now, the sort of start thing is limited to 4 digits. From there, I think you can have the prefix be 4 digits long, and then it'll append, that 5th digit on as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. But the prefix in UpKeep is still limited to 4 digits.
Are there any plans to add scheduling ability in the statuses or any other things to help with making a schedule?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in on this one. So as Natasha mentioned in that kind of preview, we are working on asset schedules in Q3. So stay tuned for that. More updates to come.
And in purchase orders, is there room to include a place for discount pricing or to change the price instead of having to go back to the inventory and edit the price there and back to the purchase order?
Yeah, I'll answer this as well. That is something that we have in consideration on the future purchase order improvements that we have. It's not yet currently available, but it is something that we definitely have top of mind.
Perfect. And how can you sync equipment with the meters in UpKeep?
Yeah. So again, this is where DataHub is straight down the fairway for the use case that we're trying to hit here. We hook up to whatever sensors, PLCs, et cetera, that you have. That data flows into DataHub, and then one of the options to sync is to your meters. So data flows from your sensors all the way into meters, and it all happens automatically.
Is it possible for limited technicians to create tasks or add tasks to a work order?
I'll say on the mobile app, they can create tasks when they're creating a work order, but once the work order has been created and assigned to them, they do not have the ability to create tasks.
Are purchase order adjustments available from the mobile app yet?
We have an active beta right now where we get purchase order access on the mobile app. It does link out to the web app that's mobile responsive. So it's not the smoothest experience, but if anyone's interested in being part of that beta program, I added my email address to the question if anyone's interested.
Perfect. And how can UpKeep accommodate returns out of inventory, like reduction of inventory back to the vendor?
I will answer that one. So today it is just a manual adjustment. And I did see the comment from Justin here asking about how that correlates with the actual parts consumption in terms of the date for that. So I'm happy to reach out and we can speak about that further. But today, if you are going to return to vendor, the only piece for that is really doing a negative manual adjustment with comments saying that it was returned to that vendor. That at least gets your inventory levels accurate to ensure that you aren't displaying or showing any of the available quantity which is not accurate.
Awesome. And are we able to transfer parts between sites?
Unfortunately, no. We can only do it within locations on single sites. This has been, there's some obvious barriers with having those multiple sites and how you would transfer across those. However, if you are a single site account with a variety of locations, breaking all that out, it's actually a lot easier now that we have location-based permissions as well, which can separate some of that data so that you can logically manage it. And it may, for whoever put that question, it may be an opportunity for you to transition back from multi-sites into a single site as well. That might be something you can reach out to your CSM about.
Awesome. Does the minimum quantity email feature also a trigger or a send for resend if the part later reaches out of stock status?
So for this one, you can find this currently in the daily summary email at this time, but eventually we will be adding a dedicated out of stock email soon.
Awesome. And then does the ability to create custom views also show up in work orders?
I'll take that one. Is the custom views this idea of a save view? If so, work orders currently has something which is called quick filters, which works pretty similarly. Like Natasha kind of teased at the top of the webinar, we are looking to bring some of these same patterns that I just showed on purchase orders over to work orders, in which case this idea of save views would then be available. So right now you can build quick filters in work orders, and soon you'll be able to do save views.
Perfect. And then I send a truck to an outside shop to do work on the truck. How do I give them a purchase order for what they do for me? Totally outside our shop.
Yeah, so this one I think is a question about adding sort of like line items that aren't for parts to purchase orders, but rather a service or something like that. And that's a feature that is not available in UpKeep today. It's not a part of the update that I just walked through. It is a fairly common request for us, so it's pretty top of mind as we think about future enhancements for purchase orders. But yeah, that's not something that UpKeep supports right now.
Can purchase orders be fulfilled or adjusted from the mobile app?
think we may have answered that one earlier, but to clarify, we have an active beta for the purchase order experience on the mobile app. It is the web app in a mobile responsive form. But if anyone's interested in going through that program, yeah, my email address is in the Q&A. Happy to add you to it.
Awesome. And then how many PLCs, assets, or tags come with DataHub, or can DataHubs consume? Are we limited in any way?
Technically, no, you're not limited in any way on the number of assets or PLCs or tags. There might be some pricing implications around that, but as far as technical, no, we can support any number.
Awesome. What is the status update on the multi-asset work order trigger for preventative maintenance? Has there been an improvement on the workflow of multi-asset work order scheduling?
So if this question is about having a work order that can be done for all of those assets on a singular work order, there has not been any changes to that point yet. It is still a single asset association per work order. If it's in regards to managing the multi-assets on a PM so that they can utilize a like schedule with like work, those are available up to 150 assets that can be added, but it will generate a single work order per asset based on whatever that schedule configuration is. In the future, what we are looking at doing is allowing the kind of the association that's made when an asset is added in a checklist to at least be displayed in the work orders page for an asset, but not necessarily a direct connection for multiple assets.
Awesome. And then will DataHub work with Honeywell HC900 PLCs?
Yes. So right now we support Allen Bradley and Siemens S7 PLCs as well as IO-Link compatible sensors. That said, we are actively looking at new drivers for different types of PLCs. So my recommendation is check back soon and see if Honeywell is on the list. Like I said, we're looking at a bunch of different types, so updates will be forthcoming.
Awesome. What time is the UpKeep update scheduled to take place? What is the expected downtime, if any?
I don't believe we have any planned downtime at the moment. Does anybody have any information otherwise there?
That's right. No, there shouldn't be any planned downtime.
Yeah, no downtime, and everything's going to be available next week, July 19th.
Awesome. And our equipment changes locations frequently for extended periods. Is there a status update option for location changes to have a quick action look in the mobile view to see latest locations?
Sorry, I was answering another question. Can you repeat that about the mobile view?
Yeah, so our equipment changes locations frequently for extended periods. Is there a status update option for location changes to have a quick action look in the mobile view to see the latest locations?
Currently, no, but would love to explore that further with whoever asked that. Please reach out to me personally.
And then according to new update on time work, can we calculate time and users offline?
So right now, no, in offline mode, you can't use timer or add time, but it is something we're exploring. So would love to dive into how often you'd want to be able to do that.
And can you adjust location-based notifications for limited admin users?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Can you send videos when submitting a work order?
On the mobile app, you technically can, but full transparency, it's going to be low quality video and it's going to be a clunky experience, but it is something we're actively working on, making sure it's high quality and a smooth experience for you. So yes, but we need to make it better.
And can we sort or filter by work order number?
Yeah, I was unsure of this if it meant within the adjustments. That is something that we can't do for obviously the correlated work orders. And then I do not believe that is a functionality of our current work order list view as well. However, we have gotten requests for this, and I do believe when we do the refresh of the work orders page that will be available.
Can you send videos when submitting a work order?
Yeah, again, technically you can, but it's going to be a bad experience, and something we're actively working towards, making the quality of video better and just more intuitive of when to add video to a work order.
All right, Maria, we've still got a couple in the main chat. Am I good to start going over those, or do you have any more?
Nope, that's all for me.
Okay, when you change the cost in the part inventory, why does it change the cost on all of the previous POs? And maybe that's a clarification question, is if that's...
No, that is something that we are looking at as a part of our purchase order improvements as well. Currently, the way that the part cost is pulled into that purchase order is just as a referential display. And so when you go back and look at a purchase order, if the price of the part has changed, that is what's going to display for the part record on the purchase order. It will not impact what the total costs are or any of that information based on those historical purchase orders, but the real-time view of it will appear differently. What we are going to do for that at least is lock in the price for that purchase order at that time. That has yet to be developed, but it's something that we definitely have top of mind for that one. That's probably going to be the first change that comes to purchase orders after this.
Okay, next question. Are purchase orders an additional expense? They are only available in the Business Plus edition, so not necessarily an additional expense, but if you're not on Business Plus, you would need to upgrade to that edition. Oh, okay. All right, I think that is the last question I had in the main chat. Is there a better way to receive parts without doing a manual adjustment?
Yeah, I'm unsure of what that means to receive parts. Obviously, if you're doing a purchase orders, this might be one of the accounts that does not have purchase orders. But if you do that, you would go through the fulfillment process. So it documents what part you're getting, the quantities, who you're getting it from, and all the cost information. And then you're able to actually do a fulfillment of that part, which it will update your part record.
Is that something that would be good for a bulk upload? Like if you get, a shipment of 1,000 parts, is that a good candidate for bulk upload? Like in a spreadsheet?
Well, in purchase order, it just depends if you're tracking it through a purchase order. We do allow quantity adjustments via purchase order as well. So you can take that export of your current inventories and then do an adjustment to them and do a bulk update for those. I think that might answer the question there.
All right, I think we've got one more question coming through. Well, I think we are at a good point to pause. So thank you again, everybody, for joining today. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Thursday and week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.